My ex made me jealous by a faked engagement and destroyed my reputation. Now, I exposed her lies to humiliate her. I'm a 30-year-old guy, and 2 years ago, I ended things with my ex-girlfriend after 3 years of dating. She was manipulative, always wanted attention, and had a way of twisting stories to make herself look like the victim. I couldn't deal with her lies anymore, so I cut her off completely, blocked her on social media, avoided mutual friends, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Or at least I thought it was. I didn't see or hear from her for over a year. Then, out of nowhere, I ran into her at a coffee shop. She acted like it was some random coincidence, but knowing her, she probably knew I went there often. She looked surprised, all smiles, and started chatting me up like we were old friends. I was polite, but tried to keep it short. Then she dropped the bomb. "I'm engaged now." It was weird. She said it so casually, like she wanted me to react. She went on about how happy she was, how amazing her fiancé was, and how they were planning this big engagement party soon. I congratulated her and tried to change the subject, but she kept pushing. She asked me if I was seeing anyone, how work was going, all that stuff. It felt off, like she was fishing for something. I brushed it off as her just being her and got out of there as quickly as I could. A couple of weeks later, mutual friends started reaching out to me. Apparently, she'd been telling people I was still hung up on her and jealous of her new relationship. She even made a social media post about how some exes just can't let go and tagged me in the comments. I was pissed but decided to let it go. I figured she'd get bored and move on. I was wrong. A month later, I got an invitation to her engagement party. It was a fancy printed card with gold lettering and everything. Inside, she'd written a personal note saying, "I know we've had our differences, but it would mean a lot if you came." I thought, what kind of person invites their ex to their engagement party? Then I started hearing from friends that no one had met this guy she was engaged to. Some people didn't even believe he existed. That's when I decided to go, not to support her or anything, but to figure out what was really going on. The party was over the top. She'd rented out this fancy venue, hired a caterer, and even had a live band. It was ridiculous. She greeted me at the door, acting like we were best friends, and introduced me to some of her family and friends who I'd never met before. Everyone was asking about her fiancé, but he wasn't there. She kept saying he was running late because of work. It felt like she was stalling. I started talking to mutual friends, and it didn't take long to confirm my suspicions. Nobody had ever met the guy. A few people said she'd shown them pictures of him, but they looked like stock photos you'd find online. That's when one of my friends pulled me aside and showed me a Reddit post she'd made under an alias months ago. In the post, she admitted to faking a relationship to make her ex jealous. She even mentioned planning a fake engagement party. I couldn't believe it. She was throwing this massive event based on a lie. I decided right then and there that I was going to call her out. While she was talking to a group of people, I walked up to her and said, "Hey, where's your fiancé? Everyone's been asking about him." She froze. "He's stuck at work," she said, smiling like nothing was wrong. "That's weird," I said, pulling out my phone. "Because these photos you've been showing people, they're from a stock image website." The room went silent. Her smile dropped, and she started stammering. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but she was visibly panicking. I wasn't letting her off the hook. I opened the Reddit post on my phone and read it out loud. "This is your account, right? You said here that you were planning a fake engagement to make me jealous. You've been lying to everyone." People started whispering. Someone asked her if it was true, and she started crying. "I can't believe you would do this to me," she yelled. "You've ruined everything." She tried to spin it like I was the bad guy, but no one was buying it. Guests started leaving, and a few people even confronted her directly. I left shortly after, feeling like I'd done what needed to be done. But I wasn't prepared for what came next. A few weeks after the party, I got a letter in the mail. It looked official, like something from a lawyer's office. The letter accused me of defamation and emotional distress, claiming I owed her $20,000 for ruining her engagement party. It threatened legal action if I didn't pay up. For a split second, I thought she might actually have a case. But then I read the letter more carefully. It was full of typos. The law firm didn't exist, and the whole thing screamed fake. Still, the fact that she'd go to the trouble of sending me something like that was insane. I called a real lawyer to confirm it was bogus, and they told me to document everything in case she tried something else. I decided to hit back. Through my lawyer, I sent her a cease and desist letter warning her that forging legal documents is a crime and that I would take action if she didn't stop harassing me. I included screenshots of her Reddit post and everything else I had on her just to make it clear I wasn't messing around. She backed off after that, but not for long. A month later, I was called into my boss's office. They showed me an email they'd received accusing me of workplace misconduct. The email claimed I had a history of inappropriate behavior and was a toxic employee. My boss said they didn't believe it, but they wanted to hear my side. As soon as I read the email, I knew it was her. The language was dramatic and vague, just like everything else she did. I explained the situation to my boss and showed them all the documentation I had, including the cease and desist letter and the fake legal threats. They were understanding and assured me my job was safe, but I decided to take extra precautions. I reported the email to HR and filed a police report for harassment. I didn't expect anything to come of it, but I wanted there to be an official record of her behavior. The next thing she did was the final straw. My younger sister got married a few months later, and somehow my ex found out about the wedding. We hadn't invited her, obviously, and we'd been careful not to post anything about it publicly. But on the day of the wedding, she showed up uninvited, wearing a bright red dress that was impossible to miss. She started mingling with guests, pretending to be a friend of the bride, and making snide comments about me. My sister spotted her and immediately confronted her. "What the hell are you doing here?" she asked. My ex tried to play the victim, saying she just wanted to make amends and show her support. My sister wasn't having it. She told her to leave, and when she refused, my sister called security to have her escorted out. The whole thing caused a scene, and I was furious. This wasn't just about me anymore. She was now dragging my family into her mess. After the wedding, I sent her another cease and desist letter explicitly warning her that any further attempts to disrupt my life or my family's would result in legal action. I also contacted the wedding venue and gave them her photo, making sure she'd be banned from attending any future events there. At this point, I was done playing defense. I decided it was time to end her games once and for all. I started compiling everything she'd done over the past year. The fake engagement, the Reddit post, the bogus legal threats, the email to my boss, and crashing my sister's wedding. I documented everything with dates, screenshots, and written accounts from friends who'd witnessed her antics. Once I had everything together, I shared it with our mutual friends. I didn't do it to humiliate her, but to protect myself. I wanted people to know the truth, so she couldn't twist the narrative anymore. The response was immediate. Friends who'd been on the fence or believed her lies started reaching out to apologize. Some even shared their own stories about how she'd manipulated or lied to them in the past. It was like a floodgate had opened. My ex had built her social life on manipulation and playing the victim, and now people were finally seeing through it. After that, she deleted all her social media accounts and went completely silent. I haven't heard from her since, and as far as I know, she's keeping a much lower profile these days. Looking back, the whole situation was exhausting. I never imagined a breakup could spiral into something this crazy, but it taught me a lot about dealing with toxic people. The biggest lesson I learned is to document everything and never engage on their terms. Toxic people thrive on control, and the only way to stop them is to take away their power. By standing up to her and exposing her lies, I finally took control of the situation and my life again. If you're ever in a similar situation, my advice is to stay calm, keep your distance, and always rely on facts. People like her can only get away with their games if you let them. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them, so please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.